I've come to a magical place because I wanted to showcase two bikes. I've done this before and it was a comparison of two Cannondales. One's from 2002 and one's from 2023. So 21 years apart and a world of difference in terms of technology. One has rim brakes, one has disc brakes. One has an enormous front chainring, one has a small front chainring. One has a tiny little rear derailleur, one has a very elongated, long, modern rear derailleur. One has electronic shifting, one has cable actuated shifting. So one is Campagnolo, one is SRAM, but they're both Cannondale. So you might ask, why are you doing this, Rob? Just because it's a beautiful day and I thought I'd showcase two lovely looking bikes. I remember how the Black Lightning used to ride. It hangs in my office. It takes pride of place for a good reason. It's a collectible. It's a special edition one that was released with, as far as I know, the first iteration ever of Campagnolo record in black. And it had some gold touches, and it was a special collaboration between the component manufacturer and Cannondale to celebrate, from memory, the 20th anniversary of the company. This bike is heavier, and I'll give you the weights down below. I don't have my scales with me on this beautiful location. But this bike is also a lot nicer to ride. This bike has 21mm tyres, Continental GP 4000s, and a special edition, a gold coloured one. When I got those tyres, I was advised, it says 100 PSI, but bang in 120. I'm riding this bike with 53 PSI. They're 30mm tyres. Part of the inspiration for coming here today was that I was speaking with a client yesterday, someone who's got a long and successful involvement in the Australian bike trade, and he just basically said to me, road cycling has missed the opportunity to sell the benefits that come with disc brakes, and it's not just stopping. There's a lot of cynicism, and I get a lot of comments when I post anything that has disc brakes on it. Well, not everything, but often I hear people chiming in and telling me save the rim brake, etc., etc. Now, I understand that notion, and I'm a little bit of a romantic myself. I do like a little bit of what made cycling special in all those years ago. But I also like to ride a nice bike. Now, disc brakes stop you a different way to rim brakes. That's pretty obvious. What else has changed with that innovation is immense. This bike is cable free. It's a wireless shifting system and it has hoses to activate the disc brakes. It's a hydraulic hose. This bike has got cables all over it. It's a beautiful looking bike, but you can see them. They're exposed on the down tube and underneath the top tube. I made a few minor amendments to the original Black Lightning package, and that includes swapping out the original record carbon fibre seat post, because I cracked it, with a chorus titanium one, which I actually like a lot more. I've also put on no-con cables on this. That makes it such a smooth shift that it's almost comparable with what's on the market in 2023. Only that it's activated with cables and a tensioning rather than electronics and a wireless system. There are so many changes in the last 21 years that it's hard to sort of try and paraphrase all that stands out when I consider the differences of these two bikes. Power meters are now basically ubiquitous. SRAM's new Force Axis comes with a power meter. You pay a little bit extra, but it's built into the system. And I've been using what had been originally the Quark system for a few years, and it's so simple. I've got a double up on this bike because I've got the PowerLink pedals from Wahoo as well as the SRAM power meter, so I can compare one with the other if I choose to. This one, I've kept the original period-specific Polar computer. Now this was a watch, a heart rate monitor that you wore on your wrist, and then you had an adapter that allowed you to fit it to your handlebars. That's how I've got it set up. I even put Polar's power meter on this. It was a system that ran along the chainstay, underneath the chain, and it had magnets, and it would read the torque that went through the chain and offer some data. It took me a whole Sunday to configure. I still remember thinking this is going to be great. I still remember putting it on and not worrying about wasting all of that time trying to get it just so, and reading the instructions over and over and over again to try and get it right, because I was thinking, I'm going to get power data. That's unbelievable. In 2002, that was an anomaly, and it was reserved essentially for pro bike riders alone. The SRM system was the one that began all of that power movement. Polar came in with a system that basically didn't function. I think I rode with it 3 times and then I ripped it off and said never again. That was horrendous. The chain used to suck onto the magnets and it just basically hindered the way that you rode. Power now, it's ubiquitous. I've said that before. People understand it. Thanks to the indoor training revolution that's come around with Zwift and Full Gas and all of those different options that exist, including incredible smart bikes and the like. A lot of people now understand data. In 2002, it was a total anomaly, interpreted by coaches rather than the riders themselves. And it was cumbersome and awkward. I don't need to tell you that a lot changes in 21 years. It's bloody obvious. But I do wonder why people are so resistant to innovation, or so prepared to call out issues like disc brakes and create controversy where none exists. Bikes have improved immeasurably in the last little while, I think. To be honest, there's been a few major movements in cycling in the time since this bike was released, and this one came out just recently. In all truthfulness, it was in the mid-2000s where aluminium became almost superfluous. We don't see many aluminium frames any longer. Cannondale was one who began to integrate aluminium and carbon with the famous 613 bike, which I rode and loved. I think they're more a collectible now, much like this, than a bike that you would ride in 2023. I wish I had a 613 now, because I think it marked a revolution in cycling. It was a combination of carbon and aluminium, as I said, but carbon is now everywhere. It was when carbon became mainstream that bikes changed considerably. But then disc brakes came along and they have they've changed the way I ride. I would never have considered low pressures. I still think about going tubeless in the first place back in 2020, and I was resistant to that change. And then I did, but I still put high pressure in it, more than was recommended. I wasn't really hip to the groove of hookless rims and the like. I couldn't understand that the tyres would just seal themselves on. I used to go to a bike shop to get the tyres fitted because they were tubeless, and I remember the early iteration of tubeless and road, and it was horrendously awkward. Now, it takes 15 minutes to change both tyres, and I just do it at home with a track pump. It's not complicated, and the ride quality is fantastic. I've ridden up to 32mm tyres on my road bikes, and I love it. I recommend it, and if you haven't tried it, please don't leave a comment and say how much you hate it. If you have tried it, I think you'll understand. I think you're probably like me, and you know that you won't go back. I think they're both beautiful bikes for their own reasons. They are both revolutionary for their own reasons. I love this bike to look at. I love the bike because of the memories it offers. But I also know that if I rode this bike now, it would be nothing like that. That is predictable handling. It's comfortable to ride. I can go faster on it with less effort. It is more aero. It is attractive in a different way. It's convenient. It's expensive, just like this one was at the time and still is. This has retained its value. We wait to see if this one will. There's a lot more I could say, but right now, I'll just let the pictures tell the story, and I hope you enjoyed having a look at a couple of bikes that have been in my office. This is mine. This is a review bike. That's going back in 10 days or so. And I'll be back on my disc brake road bike, and I'll be pretty happy about that. Thanks for watching.